Corporate tried to seize my franchise store after I fixed it, so I evicted them from their own building. The audit team arrived at 6 a.m., 5 men in black suits from corporate headquarters. They didn't order breakfast. They pulled out laser rulers and thermometers. They measured the distance between the pickles on the burgers. They checked the temperature of the fryer oil to the decimal degree. They spent 12 hours tearing my restaurant apart, looking for a mistake. At the end of the day, the regional director, a man named Vance, handed me a notice of breach. "You are in violation of brand standards, Daniel," he smirked. "Your napkin dispensers are the 2022 model, not the 2024 model. And your ice cream machine was down for 20 minutes. This is your third strike. We are terminating your franchise agreement. We are seizing the store." I stood there, exhausted. I had spent 2 years turning this location around. When I bought it, it was a rat-infested dump, losing money. Now it was the highest-grossing store in the state. Vance wasn't seizing it because I failed. He was seizing it because I succeeded. He wanted to take my cash flow and resell the store to his nephew. He thought he could steal my hard work because the franchise agreement gave him the power to take over the operations. But Vance made a fatal error. He focused so much on the burger business that he forgot about the real estate business. He didn't check who owned the land under the building. He thought he was firing an employee. He didn't realize he was declaring war on his landlord. Here is the story of how I used a simple real estate trick to force a billion-dollar fast food corporation to their knees.
My name is Daniel. I have ketchup in my veins. I started flipping burgers when I was 16. For 20 years, I worked my way up from grill cook to shift manager, then to general manager. I knew the fast food business better than anyone, but I was tired of making money for other people. I wanted to be an owner. Use the term franchisee. The problem is, buying a top-tier franchise like Burger Kingdom costs millions. You need a net worth of at least $500,000 just to apply. I didn't have that. I had savings, a 401k, and a dream. Then I found store number 402. It was located in a busy industrial district, but it was a disaster zone. The previous owner had given up. The bathrooms were a health hazard. The drive-through speaker was broken. The staff was stealing food. It was losing $10,000 a month. Corporate wanted to close it down. They listed it as a distressed asset. I approached them. I offered to buy the franchise license for pennies on the dollar. "You want that dump?" the sales rep asked me. "Sure, but you have to buy the building too. The company is liquidating the real estate asset in that sector. Usually, the corporation owns the land and rents it to you. That is how they control you. But in this specific case, they wanted to offload the bad debt completely. They offered me the franchise license for $50,000 and the real estate, the land and the building, for $400,000. I emptied my life savings. I took out a second mortgage on my house, I borrowed money from my uncle, and I did something very specific on the advice of my lawyer. I created 2 separate companies. Company A, Dan's Burgers, LLC, bought the franchise license, the right to sell the food. Company B, Dan's Properties, LLC, bought the real estate, the land and the building. Then Company A signed a lease with Company B. I was essentially renting the building to myself. At the time, corporate didn't care. They just wanted the liability off their books. They signed the papers, handed me the keys, and wished me luck. They expected me to fail in 6 months. They underestimated me. The first 6 months were a nightmare. I practically lived in the store. I fired the thieves. I scrubbed the floors until my hands bled. I fixed the drive-through speaker with parts I bought on eBay. I focused on speed and service. In the industrial district, lunch hour is war. Workers have 30 minutes to eat. If you are slow, they don't come back. I optimized the kitchen flow. I got our drive-through time down to 45 seconds. Word spread. The factory workers started coming back, then the truck drivers, then the office clerks. By year 2, store number 402 was a machine. We went from losing $10,000 a month to profiting $25,000 a month. My customer satisfaction score was 98%. I paid off my debts. I was finally breathing. That is when Vance showed up. Vance was the new regional director for corporate. He was a shark in a cheap suit. His bonus was tied to franchise optimization, which is corporate speak for squeezing the owners for more money. He visited my store on a Tuesday. He didn't look at the clean floors or the happy customers. He looked at the sales report. "Impressive numbers, Daniel," Vance said, tapping the spreadsheet. "Very impressive. This is a prime location." "It is now," I said proudly. "I built it up." "You know," Vance said, looking around, "corporate is looking to open a corporate-owned flagship store in this district. We feel this location would be better suited under direct management." My stomach dropped. "I'm not selling, Vance." "Everyone sells," Vance smiled. "We are prepared to offer you the buyback price listed in your contract, original purchase price plus 10%. "That's $55,000, I said. "This store generates that much profit in 2 months. The business is worth $1 million now." "Read your contract, Daniel," Vance said coldly. "We have the right of first refusal and the right to reclaim assets for strategic realignment. We can take it back whenever we want." "Only if I breach the contract," I countered. "And I run a perfect ship. My scores are perfect." Vance's smile disappeared. "Nobody is perfect, Daniel. If I look hard enough, I can find dust in a hospital operating room. I'll be back with the audit team." He wasn't bluffing. He declared war. For the next month, I was under siege. Mystery shoppers came in every day trying to trap my employees. Auditors checked my inventory logs looking for missing straws. They hit me with infractions for everything. Infraction 1, employee hat worn at a 5-degree wrong angle. Infraction 2, ketchup packets stocked vertically instead of horizontally. Infraction 3, the landscaping grass was the wrong shade of green. It was harassment. They were building a paper trail to justify terminating my license for operational failure. Then came the final blow, the ice cream machine trap. Corporate mandated a software update for our ice cream machines. The update famously caused the machines to glitch and lock up. It happened to every franchise owner. When my machine locked up during the lunch rush, Vance was in the parking lot. He walked in, took a photo of the out-of-order sign, and handed me the termination letter. "Strike 3, he said. "Breach of contract, failure to provide core menu items. We are terminating your license effective immediately. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. Corporate takes over operations on the 1st of the month." He walked out laughing. He thought he had just stolen $1 million business for free. He forgot one thing. He forgot to check who he was paying rent to. The handover day was scheduled for the 1st of the month. Vance arrived at 8 a.m. with a locksmith and a new manager, his nephew, of course. I was waiting in the lobby. I had packed my personal belongings in a single cardboard box. "Time to go, Daniel," Vance said, checking his watch. "The license is revoked. You were trespassing on corporate property." "Actually, Vance," I said, pulling a document from my box, "you were half right. The license is revoked. Dan's Burgers LLC is no longer a franchisee. I accept that." "Good," Vance sneered. "Hand over the keys." I dropped the keys in his hand. "Here you go. The kitchen is all yours. The fryers, the grills, the ice cream machine. Enjoy 'em." I started walking toward the door. Then I stopped. "Oh, one more thing," I said, turning around. "Since Dan's Burgers LLC has been terminated, the lease agreement between Dan's Burgers LLC and the landlord is also null and void." Vance looked confused. "What are you talking about? Corporate assumes the lease is standard procedure." "That would be true," I smiled, "if corporate owned the land.
or if the landlord had signed a lease assignment agreement with corporate. But I checked the files, Vance. You never sent over the assignment paperwork because you assumed I was just a tenant renting from a third party. I handed him a second document. It was a formal legal notice. My name is Daniel. I am the sole owner of Dan's Properties, LLC, the company that owns this land and this building. And since you just fired my tenant, me, you are currently occupying my building without a lease. Vance's face went pale. He snatched the paper. It was a notice to quit. You are a tenant at will, and as the landlord, I am giving you 48 hours to vacate my property. Remove your branding, your equipment, and your staff. If you are not gone by Friday, I will call the sheriff to evict you for trespassing. You can't do this, Vance screamed. We own the equipment. We own the brand. Yes, I agreed. You own the burger wrappers. I own the walls. And right now, your burger wrappers are inside my walls. Get out. I walked out and locked the gate to the parking lot behind me. Vance was trapped inside a glass box that he didn't own.
Vance called corporate legal immediately. I can only imagine the conversation. He had to explain to the vice president that he had terminated a top-performing store without securing the real estate rights first. It was a blunder that would cost the company millions. To relocate the store would cost at least $2 million in construction and permits, plus 6 months of downtime. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It wasn't Vance. It was the general counsel for the entire corporation. "Mr. Daniel," the lawyer said, his voice smooth and professional, "let's not be hasty. We value our partnership. We understand there was a miscommunication regarding the real estate." "There is no miscommunication," I said. "Vance fired me. I'm evicting you." "We would like to negotiate a lease," the lawyer said. "We want to keep the store open. What are your terms?" I was ready for this. I sat down at my kitchen table with a calculator. "My previous company was paying $4,000 a month in rent," I said, "but that was a friend and family rate because I was renting to myself. The new market rate for a corporation of your size is significantly higher." "How high?" the lawyer asked nervously. $20,000 a month, I said. "Triple net lease, meaning you pay all the taxes, insurance, and maintenance, and I want a 10-year guarantee signed today." $20,000, the lawyer choked. "That's a 400% increase. That wipes out the store's profit margin." "That sounds like a you problem," I replied. "If you don't like the price, you can move the building." "Oh, wait, you can't. It's brick." "Be reasonable, Daniel," the lawyer said. "Okay, I'll be reasonable," I said. "Option B, you buy the building from me." "How much?" $2 million, cash. I had bought the building for $400,000 2 years ago. "We can't pay $2 million for a fast food shack," the lawyer protested. "Then call the moving trucks. You have 46 hours left." I hung up. I knew they wouldn't move. The location was too good. It was the anchor of the industrial district. Losing it would mean handing the market share to McDonald's across the street. The next day, Vance showed up at my house. He looked defeated. He wasn't holding an eviction notice anymore. He was holding a check. "Corporate approved the buyout," Vance muttered, refusing to look me in the eye. $2 million. He handed me the envelope. "You're lucky," he spat. "You just got lucky with the paperwork." "It wasn't luck, Vance," I said, taking the check. "I read the contract. You didn't. You were so busy counting pickles that you forgot to check who owned the floor you were standing on." I deposited the check an hour later. After paying off the mortgages and the loans from my uncle, I walked away with $1.2 million in pure profit. I didn't just sell a business. I sold them their own mistake. A week later, I heard news from my old staff. Vance was fired. Corporate did an internal audit and realized he had been churning profitable franchises just to boost his own metrics. They let him go for gross negligence. As for me, I retired from the burger business. My hands don't smell like grease anymore.
I took my winnings and started a commercial real estate firm. Now I help other franchise owners structure their deals correctly. I teach them the golden rule. Control the land, control the business. Every time I drive past store number 402, I see the long line at the drive-thru. I don't feel jealous. I feel relief. I know how hard those employees are working inside. And I know that somewhere in a corporate office, an accountant is looking at the monthly P&L for that store and crying because they overpaid for the building. If you were thinking about buying a franchise or starting any brick-and-mortar business, remember my story. The business is the vehicle, but real estate is the road. You can have the fastest car in the world, but if someone else owns the road, they can set the speed limit. Own the road. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about separating your business assets from your real estate assets to protect yourself, check out the resources in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more business war stories.